Zuwena, a 34-year-old seamstress from Dodoma, had been feeling the distance in her marriage for months. Tafari, her husband, barely spoke to her anymore. The love felt cold. Small arguments, silent dinners, and heavy silences had taken over their home. So when he suddenly surprised her with a trip to Lusaka, booked a fancy hotel, brought her roses and champagne, and gave her a card that said, "Let's start over," her heart felt a flicker of hope. She smiled for the first time in weeks. Maybe, just maybe, he wanted to save their marriage. She packed her best dress, her favourite heels, and even the perfume she wore on their wedding day. On the way to Lusaka, she imagined the two of them laughing again, holding hands, starting fresh like they once did. She wanted to believe love had returned. Tafari looked calm, almost too calm, but she pushed that thought away. She wanted to believe in the dream. As the city lights of Lusaka blinked through the car window, she felt a mix of nerves and excitement. This was their second chance, or so she thought. As they reached the hotel in Lusaka, everything seemed too perfect. The building was tall and beautiful, with shiny glass doors and soft music playing in the lobby. Zuwena smiled as she looked around, thinking maybe Tafari really meant it this time. Maybe he wanted to fix what was broken between them. But then something strange happened. When they walked up to the reception desk to check in, the woman behind the counter looked at Tafari with a confused face. Her smile was small and unsure, like she knew something but didn't want to say it. Zuwena noticed it, but before she could ask anything, Tafari quickly spoke, took the room key, and walked away fast, pulling her along. "Let's go," he said quickly, almost like he didn't want her to talk to the receptionist. As they took the elevator up to their room, Tafari started acting nervous. He kept tapping the keycard in his hand, checking his phone, then putting it away. He was sweating a little, even though the hallway was cool. Zuwena looked at him, confused. "Are you okay?" she asked. He forced a smile and nodded. "Yeah, just, you go in first," he said with a weird smirk. That made her laugh a little. It reminded her of their early days, when he used to joke around and surprise her. Maybe he had planned something romantic in the room. Her heart beat a little faster. She adjusted her dress, ran a quick hand through her hair, and giggled as she stepped toward the door of room 409. She slowly pushed the door open. What she saw inside made her stop cold. Her purse slipped from her hand and hit the floor with a soft thud. Inside the room, on the bed, was a young woman wearing red lingerie, holding a cake that had words written in bright pink icing. "You're finally free." Zuwena's mouth went dry. Her legs felt weak. She blinked, thinking maybe she was dreaming or had entered the wrong room. But no, this was real. Standing behind the woman was a man in a suit with papers in his hand. Next to him was Tafari's sister, Sifa, holding up a phone, recording everything with a smile on her face. The woman on the bed blew a kiss toward Tafari. Everyone looked happy, except Zuwena. Tafari stepped in behind her, laughing. "Surprise," he said. But it wasn't the kind of surprise Zuwena had hoped for. It was the kind that broke hearts. He walked over to the bed and grabbed the cake, showing it to the camera. "She's finally free. 10 years of boring marriage. Finally over." He laughed loudly. "You're not wife material anymore," he added, pointing at Zuwena like she was a joke. "You're old. You don't take care of yourself. You're just nothing now." Zuwena didn't speak. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just stared. It was like her whole body froze for a second. Time felt like it had stopped. She looked around the room. The girl from the gym smiling in red lace. The lawyer standing awkwardly. Sifa holding the phone like this was a fun video to post. And Tafari, the man she had once trusted, now laughing at her pain. But only for a moment. Zuwena suddenly walked forward, grabbed the cake from Tafari's hands, and without a word, smashed it right into his face. The room went silent for a second. Cream and frosting covered Tafari's face, and his laughter stopped. Everyone froze. Then Zuwena turned to the camera Sifa was holding and looked straight into it. Her voice was calm, but strong. "If you're going to humiliate a woman who gave you 10 years of her life," she said, "make sure she's not 10 steps ahead of you." She pulled out her phone from her purse, held it up, and showed them something. For months, she had been recording all the emotional abuse Tafari had thrown at her. The shouting, the insults, the nights he didn't come home, the way he made her feel small. She had all of it saved. Every word, every lie. She smiled, not a sad smile, but a powerful one. Then she turned around and walked out of the room, without looking back. The hotel hallway felt quiet and cold, but she held her head high. She wasn't the same woman who had walked in hoping to save her marriage. She was something stronger now. She knew her worth. Tafari stood in the room, still wiping frosting from his eyes, shocked and speechless. Sifa slowly lowered her phone, no longer smiling. The woman in red looked confused, her legs tucked under the sheets. Realizing this wasn't the moment of victory she expected, Zuwena had walked into a trap, but she was the one who walked out winning. Zuwena stood at the door, frozen, unable to speak. Her eyes moved slowly around the room, trying to make sense of what she was seeing. On the bed, there was a young woman, probably in her early 20s, wearing red lingerie and holding a cake. The words on the cake were written in big, bright letters. "You're finally free." The woman smiled like she had just won a prize. Behind her stood a man in a black suit holding a folder, a divorce lawyer, and next to him was Sifa, Tafari's sister, recording everything with her phone, grinning like this was all some kind of game. The room was full of quiet laughter, proud smiles, and fake celebration, but none of it made Zuwena laugh. It broke her heart into pieces. She turned to look at Tafari, standing proudly next to her. He wasn't ashamed or sorry. In fact, he looked proud of what he had done. "This is it," he said, smirking. "You're finally free, Zuwena. We're done. 10 years of being boring. 10 years of looking like someone's tired aunt. You're not wife material anymore." He laughed and stepped into the room like he had just delivered some great news. His voice was cold, and his words hit her like a slap to the face. "You used to be pretty. Now look at you," he added, shaking his head as if she disgusted him. Zuwena stood there, her heart pounding in her chest. The girl on the bed, she recognized her, a girl from Tafari's gym. She had seen her once or twice when picking Tafari up. She remembered thinking how young she looked, how much she laughed at everything Tafari said. And now, here she was, half naked, in their anniversary suite, holding a cake like this was some kind of party. That girl was barely half Zuwena's age, and now she was part of this cruel performance. It was clear now. This whole trip had never been about saving their marriage. It was a setup. From the champagne to the card that said, "Let's start over," it had all been fake. A trick. A trap. Tafari wanted to embarrass her. He wanted to hurt her and laugh while doing it. On their anniversary, in front of strangers, in front of his own sister. But Zuwena didn't cry. She didn't scream or beg. She just stood quietly and looked at each of them. She looked at the girl in red, now sitting awkwardly on the bed. She looked at the lawyer, who suddenly didn't seem so proud to be part of this. And she looked straight at Sifa, whose smile started to fade when she saw Zuwena's calm face. Tafari kept talking. "I'm tired of pretending. You don't excite me. You don't look good. You don't understand me. This," he pointed around the room, "is me starting a new life with someone who actually makes me feel alive." But then, something shifted in the air. Zuwena slowly walked into the room. Everyone stepped back a little, unsure of what she was about to do. Without saying a word, she walked straight up to Tafari, grabbed the cake from the young woman's hands, and smashed it into his face. The sound of frosting and cake hitting skin echoed through the room. Tafari stumbled backwards, shocked, wiping icing from his eyes. The room went silent. Zuwena turned toward the camera Sifa was still holding and looked right into the lens. Her voice was clear, calm, and sharp. "If you're going to humiliate a woman who gave you 10 years of her life," she said, "make sure she's not 10 steps ahead of you." Then she pulled out her own phone from her purse and held it up for them to see. "I've been recording everything," she said. "The insults, the cheating, the late nights, the way you made me feel small every single day. I have it all." Sifa lowered her phone. The lawyer looked down. The girl on the bed sat still, no longer smiling. Tafari just stood there, still wiping cream off his face, speechless for the first time. Zuwena smiled, just a little, and walked out of the room. She didn't run. She didn't look back. She walked slowly, with her head held high. In that moment, she didn't feel like a victim. She felt powerful. She felt free, truly free. Not because Tafari said so, but because she took her power back. That room was supposed to break her, but instead, it became her turning point. As the door closed behind her, everything Tafari had planned began to fall apart. Zuwena stood there frozen, her eyes locked on Tafari, the woman on the bed, the lawyer, Sifa with her phone. Everything around her felt like a nightmare. Her heart was beating so fast it hurt. For a moment, she couldn't move. She had come to this hotel thinking she was getting her husband back. She had packed her best dress, done her hair, and even smiled at him in the car, hoping this was a fresh start. But instead she had walked into the most painful moment of her life. Her wedding anniversary had turned into a cruel show, a joke, a trap. She felt her body shake, not with sadness, but with something else. Strength, calm, power. Slowly, she took a deep breath, stepped forward and picked up the cake that the girl in red had been holding just minutes before. The cake that read, "You're finally free." And then, without a single word, she smashed it right into Tafari's face. The room went completely silent. Everyone gasped. Cream and icing covered his face, dripping down his shirt. He looked stunned, like he couldn't believe what had just happened. He wiped his eyes with his sleeve, too shocked to speak. The girl on the bed sat up quickly, pulling a pillow to cover herself. The lawyer stepped back, clearly uncomfortable. Even Sifa, still holding her phone, looked unsure of what to do. But Zuwena was steady, calm. Her hands didn't shake. Her voice was soft but strong. She turned and looked straight into the phone camera that Sifa was still recording with. Her eyes didn't blink. Her voice didn't crack. "If you're going to humiliate a woman who gave you 10 years of her life," she said clearly, "make sure she's not 10 steps ahead of you." Then, slowly and with purpose, Zuwena reached into her purse and pulled out her own phone. "I've been recording everything," she said, raising the phone up for everyone to see. "Every insult, every lie, every night you told me I was nothing, every time you came home drunk and told me I was useless, every time you talked about younger women and laughed at my dreams. I have it all." The lawyer blinked, now looking very nervous. Sifa's phone slowly lowered, her face no longer full of joy. The girl in red looked at Tafari, clearly regretting getting involved. And Tafari, the man who had planned all of this to hurt Zuwena, just stood there, still wiping frosting off his face, silent and stunned. Zuwena didn't wait for anyone to respond. She continued, "You think I didn't see what you were doing? You think I just sat at home crying while you cheated and insulted me? No, I was watching, I was listening, and I was planning." She opened the video folder on her phone and clicked play. The sound of Tafari's voice filled the room, yelling, calling her names, swearing, mocking her. Everyone in the room heard it, loud and clear. The man who just said she was boring now sounded cruel, heartless, and abusive. Zuwena looked at each of them. She wasn't crying, her eyes were steady, and her chin held high. "You wanted to end the marriage this way," she said, turning to Tafari. "Fine, but not on your terms, on mine." Then she looked at the lawyer and said, "You might want to call your office. My lawyer is already downstairs in the lobby." She smiled. "I filed for divorce 2 weeks ago." Gasps filled the room. Sifa's mouth dropped open. The girl on the bed covered her face. The lawyer stepped toward Tafari, whispering something that no one else could hear. And Tafari? He didn't move. He didn't say a word. The man who had laughed so loudly minutes ago now stood covered in cake, his mouth shut, looking like he wanted to disappear. Zuwena walked to the door, turned one last time, and said quietly, "You thought this would be my ending, but it's just my beginning." Then she opened the door and left. Her heels clicked down the hallway with confidence. Her heart still ached, but her spirit was rising. She wasn't broken. She was free, truly free. She had walked into a room meant to humiliate her, and she walked out stronger than ever. Every person in that room would remember that moment, not as the day they ruined Zuwena, but as the day she stood tall, took control, and turned pain into power. She didn't need to shout. She didn't need revenge. All she needed was the truth, and she had it all along. The next morning, the internet exploded. On every social media platform, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, one headline was spreading like wildfire. Wife turns anniversary trap into divorce victory. Videos and photos from room 409 were everywhere. The moment Zuwena smashed the cake into Fari's face went viral in just hours. People were replaying it over and over, cheering her on. Her calm voice, the powerful line, "Make sure she's not 10 steps ahead of you," was quoted in captions, printed on t-shirts, even turned into a TikTok audio. Everyone wanted to know who this strong woman was and how she turned such a painful betrayal into a powerful win. What no one had known the night before, and what shocked even those who knew her, was that Zuwena had actually filed for divorce 2 weeks before the anniversary trip. Quietly, smartly, without saying a word. She hadn't waited for Tafari to leave her. She had already chosen to leave him. And the best part? Her lawyer had come with her to the hotel, waiting downstairs in the lobby the whole time. The moment the drama happened upstairs, Zuwena's team was already moving in silence. She was not only emotionally ready, she was legally ready too. Tafari's smile from the night before had completely vanished. The man who thought he was in control now found out he had already lost. Zuwena had contacted the bank before the trip. His accounts were frozen. Every asset in both their names was locked under court order. He couldn't move money. He couldn't sell anything. He couldn't even use his credit cards. The man who had laughed in her face was now stuck, helpless, watching his empire fall apart in front of the world. And the girl on the bed, his so-called freedom, she paid a price too. She worked as a receptionist at a health spa, a job that prided itself on professionalism. But when her face started trending online, when customers and co-workers saw the videos, complaints came pouring in. Her employer didn't want to be connected to a cheating scandal or a public shaming event. By the end of the day, she was fired, gone, all for a man who didn't even defend her when things went wrong. Tafari didn't say a word to protect her. He was too busy cleaning up his own mess. As for Sifa, Tafari's sister, the one who laughed the loudest while recording Zuwena's pain, the internet didn't go easy on her. People dug up her social media and filled her comment sections with questions. Why would you humiliate another woman like that? Is this how you support your family? She tried to post a selfie the next day, pretending everything was normal, but it didn't work. The internet doesn't forget. She turned off her comments, made her page private, and disappeared from social media completely within 48 hours. Zuwena, on the other hand, was shining. She didn't say much at first. She posted a simple photo, no words, just her standing tall in a hotel lobby, wearing the same dress from the night before. Her head held high, her eyes calm, her face proud. That picture was shared thousands of times. People started calling her the Queen of Room 409. Women from around the world messaged her with love, support, and their own stories. Some said they cried watching the video. Others said she gave them the strength to leave their own toxic relationships. Zuwena had gone from being just a seamstress in Dodoma to a symbol of quiet power and dignity. Later that evening, she posted one more photo. This time, it was a close-up of the hotel room door, room 409. Under it, a caption, "Some doors should never be opened, but I'm glad I did." That single line made people cheer all over again. Zuwena didn't just walk away from a broken marriage. She walked into a new life, one that she built with strength, patience, and grace. What was meant to destroy her ended up making her stronger, more confident, and deeply respected. The pain Tafari tried to cause her turned into her loudest victory. She didn't scream. She didn't fight dirty. She used truth, preparation, and quiet power, and the world noticed. In just one night, she went from being the woman in the background of Tafari's story to the woman in charge of her own, and no one could ever take that away from her. 1 year later, Zuwena was no longer just known as the woman in that viral hotel video. She had become something much bigger. In the heart of Lusaka, she opened her own fashion boutique and named it Room 9. The name shocked people at first. But those who knew her story smiled. It wasn't just a name, it was a statement. Her boutique was special. She designed clothes for women who had been hurt, women who had cried behind closed doors, women who were ready to heal and shine again. Her tagline, "Enter broken, exit powerful." And that's exactly what her boutique did for so many. It wasn't just about dresses or fabric. It was about reminding women of their worth. The boutique became popular fast. Women from all over came to shop, share stories, and walk out feeling stronger. Some cried while trying on clothes. Some hugged Zuwena and thanked her. She had taken her deepest pain and turned it into a place of hope. Tafari, of course, tried to come back. He sent long messages on Instagram, trying to explain, trying to apologize. But Zuwena didn't waste a second. She blocked him. Then she posted a picture in front of her boutique with a soft smile and a powerful caption. "Some doors should never be opened, but I'm glad I did." And just like that, she closed that chapter beautifully.